Good evening, everyone. We're back, myself and Lee, on the channel again. We're going to be talking about Arsenal because they are linked with defenders. And believe it or not, Arsenal are going for defenders first, it seems, before a striker and a midfielder. Or are they? The rumours are very heavy around 3 defenders today that we're going to be talking about. And we're going to be asking you in the chat what you think of it. So big up all yourselves. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you are new. We are trying to get to 40k, which is our next target. So let's make sure that we can do that and you're part of the community. Judges, how are you, mate?
Yeah, all good. A night off on it, like, no, 5 o'clock. So enjoyed the games yesterday. What a save, by the way, from that Turkish goalkeeper yesterday. Unbelievable.
That was world class, wasn't it?
Oh, that was a goal all day. They showed it from behind the goal. I don't know if you see it with in real time. Harry got down to it and saved that. It is unbelievable, like, you know. So yeah, quality games. I thought yesterday. I enjoyed the games. Holland starting to warm up a little bit as well. So I thought Austria would give, Romania would give them a bit of more of a game, but they didn't. But yeah, and it's just what I say about this Euros, Dan, is that. You know, look at Austria, like everybody saying how well they were playing, and then all of a sudden, bang, out goes, out they go, and that's the end of it, like, you know. So, yeah, so it is what it is.
Listen, I thought it was a really good couple of games. I've enjoyed the last couple of nights football, to be fair, but feels weird having a break from it until Friday, but that is going to be an unbelievable game on Friday, mate.
Oh.
That's playing Germany game, mate. I'll be settling down for that. That is going to be a cracker, isn't it? Yeah,
that's the one. That is the game I'm really looking forward to. 5 o'clock, Spain versus Germany. Who do you want to win that game?
Spain.
I'm going to go Germany. Well, I want Germany because I've got them in the sweepstake. But
I suppose for Havertz, it'll be good.
And Kai Havertz being my favourite player of Arsenal.
yeah.
I'm probably going to go for them lot. But yeah, that'd be interesting. Donna's gone Spain. I see, like, it just doesn't like Kai Havertz. It's as simple as that. Your mum, like, she's never gonna go that way. Like, do you know what I mean? So
she ain't never gonna like him, mate.
He's never gonna go there. Like,
she wouldn't like him. She's just got to take a dislike. But
listen, if Spain go through, I've got no problems with that because I think they've been the best team in the tournament so far. If I'll be really honest.
Yeah. Well, listen, one of them's going to go out, and it's mad because, you know, I was speaking to Joe about this. Joe was on my chat, he's a Leeds fan. He was going, everyone's like, oh, it's not really fair that they've got each other yet. He goes, I'm bloody good. Get them both out. He goes, you know, like, and then maybe it'll take that for these sort of Portugal, France, Spain, Germany all facing each other. All like 2 of those 4 going out. That's madly. You know what I mean? I cannot believe this draw still. I still sit there and I think, how have we done this? Like you say, Netherlands. How have they done that? You know,
Netherlands. You know what I mean? Like, I never worked that out. You know what I mean? They must have gone. You know, because at one stage it could have been against us, couldn't it? But
that's right.
But they must have. Someone in the analysis said, "No, trust me on this. We're going to go down the easier route." And the thing is, what I see of it is that if we predict the Spain Germany game to be as tight and you know, everything like that, mentally, physically, by the time they get to the final, these teams are going to be shattered. And if you know, like, to get to a final, you've got to play. Who did we play in the last round? Slovenia, was it?
We played Slovakia.
Slovakia, right? Switzerland, Turkey, or Ireland. To get to the YouTube, hey, come on, Gareth. You know what I mean? Like, do the lottery, son. Do the lottery, like, you know. It's unbelievable how lucky we are, like, you know, to get that. You couldn't plot for a better way to get to a fight. Missing all the big guns. There's not one big gun there, like, you know. You talk about the Netherlands, but they're not a big gun like they used to be, like, you know what I mean? The big guns in this tournament are France, of course, like, you know, Portugal, Spain. Obviously Germany, and they're all battling it out against each other to get to the final. Like, come on, it's everybody keeps saying to me, they're going to win it on that side of the draw. But I'm convinced someone will win it on this side because it'd be an easier draw. So, you know, but fair play. Turkey, yes, I thought that they were brilliant, but I think we've got enough in our locker to beat everyone, Dan. I really do, like, you know what I mean? I think we will get there. I think we will get there.
A lot of people are saying that we're going to fluke a final and then see what happens in a final. And
one off.
I still feel Switzerland might be able to do some damage against us, mate. I will say that. But listen, I hope I'm wrong. Of course, I want England to win it. But we'll see what happens. We're not here talking about England. We're here talking about Arsenal. And there is some links to defenders, Judge. I don't know how much you know about these boys. There's 3 defenders that we link with today, which means we're definitely looking at that area first, it seems. And they're all very versatile. So there's none of these defenders that just play in one position. They all play across the front line. So before we go into the 3 of them, how important is that to you that they all have a number of positions? Because where I'm at, I don't mind that they can play in a number of positions. What I don't want is us to roll up and go, so where's this bloke play? Don't really know. Bit of everywhere. I want them to have a position and can play there. So, for example, you look at Tommy Yasu, you know he's a right back or a left back, but he can play centre back. Likewise, Ben White, we know now that he's a right back, can play centre back. I'm cool with that. When we're not really sure where they play and they play a little bit of everywhere, I think you can get a little bit lost with that. So, the 3 that we'll go into in a minute, they all have a position, but can play in a number of areas. And I think Mikel Arteta and Edu are clearly looking at that, Lee.
Yeah, I think that's something that they've done, particularly in certain areas of the field. Like wide, you can either play up front or play wide, you know, or you can play right back or centre half. You can play left back or centre half. Yeah, even in midfield, I suppose you put Declan Rice in that category that can play 2 positions in there. So I do think that they are looking to do that on most positions. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if David Raya could play up front. You know what I mean? So like, so they need to do that. I think for me, like this left back position now looks like they're going to be looking to solid that up, if you like. I think that that's something there, like, you know. Listen, I think this left side now is very, very important because Saliba sort of took away the myth of this lot, because if you know, at France, he's playing as the left-sided defender and he's been outstanding in it, like, so he can play left or right. So, you know, do you have to get a left-sided one there? Because if there was an injury or something to Gabriel, you know, Saliba could slot over there and someone can go into central defence. But I'm worried about, I think we need a central defender to cover Gabriel and Saliba. And I'll tell you why. Saliba never missed 1 minute of football in the Premier League last season. Where he got his breaks last year, Dan, was on international break. He went on to international break and didn't play. He was like on the bench. So it weren't too bad, getting a little bit of training and then having a rest. He's not going to be rested no more when it comes to France. He's going to be guaranteed starting every single game. So that's another 10 games on his schedule next season, plus another 4 from the Champions League. So that is now 14 more games he's going to have a season. It can't go on. It can't, you know, so I'm very, very worried about that. You know, and obviously Gabriel's out there with Brazil. The way Brazil are playing, he might be on the plane home at the weekend. So that'd be interesting. They're poor. You know?
Yeah.
How many more? Do you know, is there a decent international team out there at the moment? Really? Is it really? Because I look at that Cup of America, like, you know what I mean? Argentina ain't all that. They're not. They're decent, but they're not like the Argentina of what I've known over the years, the Maradona.
I think Spain and Germany, honestly, I think they are the 2 best at the moment.
Yeah. Spain, yeah. I go along with that. Spain have looked very, very good, I must admit, like, you know.
Kind of surprised me as well. I know they've got good players, but Spain really have surprised me because, you know, I mean, Rodri's absolutely, we know what he's all about. He's absolutely killing it in the middle there. But he's obviously, they've got some spark, some flair. They've got Pedri, they've got Williams, I've been impressed with. Obviously, Lamine Yamal, who's been fantastic considering he's 16 years old. Yeah, big fan. Dani Olmo, another good player as well for Spain.
Yeah.
So I think, you look at it, you think fair play. They've actually got some good players. Why didn't I think of them? But in terms of these defenders, Lee, my mum and Robert have both said, are we looking at defenders in case we lose Saliba next season? Do you think looking at defensive side, we might lose Saliba? Look, I don't think it is that. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's just a coincidence that there's rumours that Saliba might go. We were always looking at defenders anyway, Lee. You know what I mean? We always needed to bring one in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Saliba's going nowhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, at this moment in time, I think maybe if one was to go, we're talking about this today. Funny enough, it could be Gabriel because he flirted last season with maybe a transfer. I don't really know what happened at the beginning of the season with him running the side. Maybe Arteta's thinking of that. I don't know. Like, so it'd be interesting to see what happens there. But for me, I think Saliba stays. I just think what they're doing is that they've got to manage his minutes down. There's going to be times when he's got to be rested, and I mean in probably Premier League games. You cannot be playing Champions League and then playing Premier League, Champions League, and everything, and internationals. I think that somewhere along the line he needs to be left out of one or two. And if you've got a decent top class central defender coming in, you can rotate a little bit, and he's vital to Arsenal, vital. So when they're bringing in somebody, he's got to be up to that standard of, not, you know what I mean, not as good as Saliba because there's no one better than him at this moment in time, but in and around there, So it'd be interesting to see what happens there, from that point of view. I think they're definitely getting one. And I think it's going to be someone that's going to cover the left back and the left side of central defence. But we've got Kivior that can do that. But I think maybe they might cash in on Kivior. I don't know.
Well, there's rumours that Kivior might want to seek a move first team football. I know we've only just, it feels like anyway, we've just signed him. We signed him in the January window. He had the end of last season and the full of this season. I think he's a good player. I don't look at him and go, wow, but I certainly think he's a good cover player. I wouldn't want to get rid of him because I think that if anything happened to Gabriel, we could come in and do a job there. Some people don't like him though, Lee. I've got a lot of Arsenal fans that are like, he's not for me. He makes a lot of mistakes. Made a lot of mistakes for Poland. One thing that I must say this about Kivior. One thing that is a mystery to me is how slow he looks and how quick he actually is. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean.
He's turning like Mertesacker and he runs like Mertesacker, but he's broken Bellerin and Thierry Henry's record in training. How does that make any sense?
Unbelievable. So he must have something, mustn't he? You know what I mean?
He's definitely got pace for sure, but it seems weird. I mean, I first saw him and I thought, God, he's quick, and then I don't know where that pace went. It doesn't look on the eye. He doesn't look quick anymore, which is bizarre for me. But I would be keeping Kivior and adding to it. What we can't do is we can't lose all these players. People say we need to get rid of Zinchenko, Kivior might go, Tierney and Tavares all need to go. We're going to be short again if we do all that. We've got to be wise with this. And for me, Kivior stays. And we bring one in. And I mean, the three we link with, let's start with them. The first one is Calafiori. And I personally think with Calafiori I don't know much about him, Lee, but everyone's talking about him. And he's impressed. In Italy, Bologna, 22 years old, probably going to cost between 25-30 million, which I think is fair for a backup player. Is he going to want to come to Arsenal and be backup? Well, apparently we're in pole position, Lee. What do you make of this?
Yeah, apparently he started his career, I've done my research on this, started his career as a left back, before being moved over to central defence and can play in a back three. So maybe there's options of changing to a back three. I'm not saying that they're going to do that, but, means can be a little bit more versatile. And obviously, listen, I think that if he does come, he's backing himself. If you're you've got Juventus in for you as well. And if you decide to come to Arsenal, you are backing yourself. So I quite like the look of this player because I still don't think that we've addressed that left back position. Now, at this moment in time, right, first game of the season, you're going to go for as left back. You're probably going to go Tomiyasu, yeah? Maybe Timber, but we don't know. We've never seen him really play left back. He's more of a right back central defender on that side, isn't he? So I think that we'll probably see him a little bit more out there covering Ben White. So on the left-hand side, you've got Tomiyasu that's doing that. I don't think he's a naturally player, you know what I mean? Zinchenko, as you say, I think Tierney's days are numbered. I think, I think we've got to admit that. So at the end of it, I do think that it is a role that he probably thinks, well, maybe I can nail that position. So it'd be interesting because I do think that our left side, I don't say let us down last season, that's the wrong word to say, but I think that with Martinelli, I think with not having the, like with Saka, he knows exactly what White's going to do. White knows what Saka's doing. We haven't got that on the left-hand side. If it's going to be Martinelli out there or Trossard, either or, they need to have a left back that knows exactly what they're doing. 1 week it's Tomiyasu, next week it's Zinchenko, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I think that's got to change. So maybe they've had a chat with him and they feel like he's going to be the one that's going to come in and be a regular in that position and nail that position. So we'll have to wait and see. But he can play central defence as well. So adding to what we need there.
Yeah, I mean, the project Edu and Arteta are selling him. People might look at it negatively and go, "Oh, hello, mate, look, we've got these 2 wicked centre-halves, so you hardly play. But if you fancy coming and trying to get a game, then come over." I think we could look at it like that. I think, there are players out there that do want to join squads, that they believe in, that do want to join and be part of something that they think is going to be successful. And I think that's what we've got to look at, is there players out there that are going, I rate myself, I think I can get into this side in a number of positions, and I think we'll win trophies together. So I think that, I had a chat on my show yesterday or the day before about how I think this window might be difficult for Arteta and Edu to try and get players like this in the door, because when you've got Gabriel, Saliba, White, it's hard to get them displaced. When you've got your goalkeeper in Raya, who just signed as the number one, it's hard to get that back up. And likewise, when Saka's there, it's hard to bring in the right winger that's going to cover for him. So that's what I was meaning, really. I think it's a difficult window for Arsenal in those positions. I don't think it's difficult for Arsenal to look to get a striker because that striker's going to be playing. I don't think it's going to be hard to get someone to sit next to Declan Rice or playing the six because they're going to be playing alongside Rice. But in those other positions, it can be difficult. But if we was to look at Calafiori in terms of 22 years old, highly rated, can play in a number of positions, it kind of sounds pretty good, though, right? It's kind of a signing that you could look at and go, I'm now interested. Similarly to Kivior, I suppose, was spoken about in the Euros, if you remember, or it was actually the World Cup, I think, when we signed him. And Lewandowski said, I didn't know who this guy was from Spezia, but he's a brilliant, brilliant player. And then we signed him. Similarly with Calafiori, we don't know much about him until this Euros, and now people are talking about him. And sometimes the Euros can actually kind of change your targets, I suppose, or change where you're looking. And I think it could be the case with this kid.
Yeah, I've listen. They would have done their own work on things like this, and the thing is, the one thing that if I'm sitting there, I'm looking at, and you can look at Kivior as a perfect example. He hasn't really had that many opportunities, Dan. I know, and the opportunities that have come, he's had more opportunities at left back than he has at central defence. I watched him for Poland and looked decent, you know what I mean. But as I say, you know what I mean, if you're looking for a midfield player out of the Euros, you go, oh, that Højbjerg looks a very good player, you know, and we all know what he's like, you know. So it don't necessarily mean anything. I remember Arsenal signed Johnny Jensen on the back of a Euros. Yeah. So I like to think that they've done their own work and it ain't just the Euros that they're going in.
Davor Suker as well. Remember we signed him.
Yeah, he was a good player though. He was, but we got him just.
He was a good player, but it weren't a B, was it? It weren't what we thought he was going to be.
If we'd have got him 3 or 4 years before, well, he would have been like different class him. But we got him towards the end of his career. But so it'd be really interesting this one to see where they go. And I think that if you can get him for 20, 25 million, that's pretty good business for a backup. And if he's going to be playing, as you say, like, you know, I do think that there is a left back position up for grabs. I do think there is. If you fancy it and you think that you're good enough to do it, I think you'll take the risk of going, okay, I'm ready for this opportunity and I'm going to try and take it. But where I think it's a lot difficult, as you say, like in other areas. But I think if you're just a central defender, I wouldn't be going to Arsenal. I'll be really honest. You know, look at the Spurs central defender that's playing for Romania at the moment. He's been brilliant for Romania. But he's hardly getting a look in at
Oh,
Spurs.
Dragusin, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, he's hardly getting a look in at Spurs because they've got their two mainstays in the team. So this is the problem that you've got. You know what I mean? But when you're playing in Champions League and you're playing all these extra games and that, you do need a squad. You do need a squad. So listen, as I said, we've got 4 more extra games. Whatever happens next season, you need to have players in place, and so these players are going to get games. They're going to get games. If they're ready for the opportunity. But I think that this is one that I think I'm going to give my thumbs up to this one.
Okay, that's interesting. Before we move on to the next couple of players we've been linked with today, I'm going to bring this comment up because he's a good friend and listener of the show. Shaitanya says, Lee and Danny, you visiting California for pre-season? I won't be, but Lee, you're going out there, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, I'll be out there going to California and obviously Philadelphia as well. So I will be out there. If you are out there, and that, make sure you come up and say hello. There's a few events going off in LA. I understand there's an evening with Ian Wright. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be out there. So Ian Wright's going to be out there. He gets about, doesn't he, old Wrighty?
Love Wrighty.
Yeah, so he's going to be out there. I don't know where that is, but he's doing an evening with Ian Wright. So yeah, that should be pretty good. So I'm not sure. I think it's the night before the Man United game. So if anybody's out there, Shantanya, if you're out there, come and say hello.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up, Shaitanya. Big up to the chat. Make sure you do me a favor and hit the like button, please, and the subscribe button. That would be amazing. Let's move to the next player we're linked with. He's actually playing last night. He's a left back for Turkey, and his name is Ferdi Kadioglu. Now, I don't know much about him either, Lee. I've got to be honest. He plays for Fenerbahce, but when you actually look at him and try to research him, he's very versatile. Plays left back, left wing, attacking midfield as well. Do we need another attack-minded left back? I mean, I know people like that, and we all like attack-minded left backs like Ashley Cole, but let's be real. Do we really need that as a kind of option for us when we've got Zinchenko already that does the attack-minded role? Do we need more of a defensive-minded player? Jose Mourinho, we know, is now the Fenerbahce manager. So is he going to sell him? Is he going to want to sell him? So what do you make of this one, bro?
Yeah, that's a good point from Greg. I think, and the other thing is, would you want to work with Jose Mourinho? I don't know about. I think 5 years ago, 6 years ago, you definitely would. I'm not so sure now. Listen, I don't really know much about this player. I'll be honest. You know what I mean? But the way Turkey defended yesterday and everything like that, they were all decent. All of their back four were decent, and the ones in front of them were decent as well. Like they kept their shape. So listen, it could be one there. As I say, I'm going to hold my hands up. I don't really know too much about him, but what I see of Turkey yesterday, I was very, very impressed with their structure and the way they went about their defending. And I'll tell you what I did like about Turkey yesterday, putting their body on the line for the calls, and so if he does that, then that'd be fantastic. First and foremost, I get what everybody's going to say. First and foremost, I think you need a left back that can defend. Funny that though, I think my first thing I look at is a goalkeeper that can save a shot, but that doesn't seem to be the way forward now. It's if he can play. So maybe
now,
So maybe now, the defenders are different now. Is can they attack and can they do 54 flick ups before they pass the ball? I don't know. So for me, I'd always want my fullbacks and defenders to defend first before they can play. But that's sort of changing the thing. So we'll have to wait and see. If we do go for that more attacking minded option, what would I say? A left back that can play wing back and a wide left. Do you know what I'm saying? And then I think that instead of a left back that can play central defence, then I think Zinchenko's under massive amounts of pressure. Massive.
Well, I wanted to bring up Zinchenko because, Reese has said in the chat, Zinchenko will be sold. And if we're going for left-sided defenders, Calafiori, we've just mentioned, Kadioglu as well. We got Timber, we got Tomiyasu, we got Kvyat. Tierney and Tavares look like their futures don't lie at Arsenal, but is Zinchenko's going to be? Because, I don't think he's had a very good Euros. I don't think defensively he's good. In fact, I think he's incredibly poor. I like him on the football, and he does the inverted role well, but I don't really see a place for him at the moment in the first team at Arsenal. He's definitely not a first teamer. Will he want that? He didn't at Man City. Why would he want it at Arsenal if he's going to be a squad player? I think if the right money comes in, and I'm talking sort of anything between 27 to 35, I'll be selling him, Lee. I think.
Yeah, I get what you're saying here. I still think there's a player in Zinchenko. I like Zinchenko. I remember his performance at Spurs, not this season, the season before, and he was probably the one of the best players on the park. And don't forget that he had to defend in that game as well. I honestly believe I've said it before and I'll say it again. He did not have a pre-season last season. I remember being out in America last year, and he was out there, but he never played 1 minute of football out there. And I think that you need to have that pre-season under your belt now. They've gone out a little bit early, so I imagine that he got a chance of being on that tour. If he is on that tour, try and nail down a place and get yourself properly 100% fit. I still think that there's a player in Zinchenko. I don't like it when people say he's rubbish and he's this and he's that, because they weren't saying that the season before last. You know what I mean? He's just had a bit of a rough ride at the moment, and I'm going to back him at this moment in time. I'm still backing him. So, but if a big offer comes up, I'm with you on that, Dan. If a big offer comes up, that one that that you can't turn down is probably a little bit more than what you think he's worth, then I think we will sell him.
Yeah, I mean, I would sell him. He's not really my favourite sort of player. I don't mind him on the ball, but I think defensively it's actually embarrassing trying to watch him sometimes. And I think he's let us down, Lee. I do. And I know he's had some good games, but he's also let us down. I mean, the Fulham game at home, giving the ball away, giving away a corner, they score from it. Wolves, I know he won that game, but he gave away an awful goal. Salah, he just let him walk past him at Anfield. And I've seen him previously before that at Anfield get done by Trent nuts by him and they equalise. So I'm just seeing too many mistakes where they're scoring goals from. Now, people make mistakes. Ray is one of those. He's made mistakes. They haven't always cost us goals or points. Zinchenko, unfortunately, the mistakes he has made has cost us goals or points or both. And that's where I get frustrated with him, because defensively it ain't quite good enough. And there might be a role for him in the midfield. It might be that he's the left eight we've been looking for. Who knows? But I just don't see him as a left back, bro. I really don't. And I think if we link with these players, it might suggest that Mikel Arteta might have lost a bit of faith in him. And certainly the fact that he lost his key position means that he probably did lose a little bit of faith in him.
I get that. I get that. But I've seen a lot of people saying, Zinchenko's trash, Zinchenko out. He does make things happen going forward as well. And I think that's sort of being forgotten about. But listen, we're all entitled to an opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Everyone's different with it. Absolutely. Let's talk about the last guy, because I really do know nothing about this guy. I was listening to Robbie earlier, who was talking about us being linked with him. I had to search him up. Feyenoord right back, just won the league with Arne Slot. Liverpool linked with him as well, which suggests that he might have a bit of a connection with, of course, Arne Slot. And this is Geertruida. Now, he is a right back that can play centre back and defensive midfield. We've heard that before with Jurriën Timber over at Ajax, who we signed last summer and then got injured. I'll say this. I actually prefer us being linked with a right-sided defender instead of a left-sided one. Unless we're going to sell a couple of players over on the left-hand side. Because I honestly believe the left-hand side, we've got Zinchenko and Timber that are both very different. We've got Tomiyasu, who's brilliant one-to-one. We've got Kivior, who can play there. Right back, we're good. We've got Timber, we've got White, we've got Tomiyasu. Left centre-back, we've got Gabriel and we've got Kivior. But right centre-back, we literally just have Saliba. And if this is the sort of guy that they're looking at, if it's Calafiori who's more left-sided, Kadioglu who's more left-sided, this guy seems more right-sided. And out of all of the links, this is the one that I want to look more into, because I think there is a place there for Saliba to get a knock and Ben White and Tomiyasu over on the right-hand side. This guy might be able to come in. Now, don't get me wrong, we have got options there. We can play Tommy there. We can play Timber there. We can play Ben White there. But I just think if we was to get the same replica of what we had last season, and not the one just gone, where Tomiyasu and Saliba got both crocked. Tommy's not really the most reliable of players to not have injuries. If he gets injured and Saliba gets injured, who do we play right back and right? It'll have to be Timber right back and then Ben White in the middle. And then so I think a right centre back would actually be needed, Lee.
Yeah, listen, I think that it's going to be a difficult one when you're trying to get someone to come in to back up Saliba when you know that he's going to play most minutes of games as well. Like, if you was a backup to Saliba last season, you didn't do a lot of backing up, did you really? Like, because he just didn't miss a game. So, but there is that worry if someone go. I honestly think that Arteta will use Tommy Asu in that role. I do. I think that's where he's earmarked for. And I think that we missed Saliba twice as much because he was injured as well. And that sort of went under the radar if that one that Tommy Asu got injured. But, again, I have to say this, Tommy Asu is not one to be relied on. So it'll be really interesting to go from there. But this is going to be interesting, Dan, who they actually do go for, because it'll tell you a lot about who's going to be staying, who's going to be going, what sort of structure they're going to do. So I think it's an interesting one. Like, as I say, I don't know nothing about this guy, but then again, I didn't really know too much about Timber. Did you? I didn't know nothing about Tommy Asu. They've turned out to, well, we don't really know about Timber, but Tommy Asu's turned out to be a snip. So we'll have to wait and see on this one.
Yeah, we will, man, 100%. I wanted to close on this because I think it's important. Mum said about incomings, but there's going to be news on outgoings. At the moment, no. Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson linked with moves away from the club. Lokonga looks like he's going to be going to Seville on loan. That's pretty much been green lighted. Tavares still no offers. Tierney still no offers, and he's injured. So I don't know what's going to happen with Tierney if he's going to be sold. Ramsdale, still nobody coming in for him yet, but obviously he's out in the Euros. I mean, do you see quite a lot of? Do you see a clear out here, Lee, or do you see there being problems with selling some of our players? And I wanted to ask you that because a lot of people, when I speak to them, they're like, "I think he'll go." They're like 12 players are going. Do you know what I mean? That's quite a lot of players that are leaving. Do you see that happening, or do you think it won't be as many as that?
No, I see 3 or 4 going. I do see 3 or 4 going, and I think that it'll be within the next couple of weeks. So I look at it and I think Newcastle just sold that Anderson, who I think is a very, very good player, by the way, for 30 odd million. Dan, he hasn't played a lot of football, 21 years. He's, you know what I mean. So if you can get 30 million for him, and I emphasise, he is a very, very good player. Then I can see that the valuation for a Smith Rowe or an Eddie is going to be high. And I think at this moment in time, what it seems to me is like Arsenal, like all teams, buying or selling, they're just keeping their cards close to their chest at the moment, trying to get the best deals going. But somewhere along the line, I've never known a transfer market to be so quiet for Arsenal in ins and outs, but then I think like on a lot of other clubs as well, no one's really buying. I think that within the next 2 weeks, I think most Premier League clubs will be going back to training next week. If it ain't this week, it'll be towards the end of the week or next week. Things will get done then, but the other thing is, and we've talked about this today as well, we don't want to say if it is Eddie and Smith Rowe, and you don't want to take them on tour because they might get injured and whatever. I know for a fact that lots of players have gone on tour and been sent back to sign for other clubs. So it does happen. It's just the way it is. But at this moment in time, it's very, very quiet. I look at Aaron Ramsdale. I think, I'm a big fan of Aaron. But where realistically at this moment in time does he go? Where does he go? What clubs were you looking at and thinking, well, they need a goalkeeper and all that? So interested to see what is going to happen with him. Like, he's just had a kid, you know what I mean? Does he want to go abroad? He might well have to then to go there. Like, will it be a permanent or will it be loan? That's another key one for me. And then you look at Smith Rowe. I think they'll have options. Very, very much will have options. I think Eddie will have options as well, but the price is where has got to be there. And I think Nelson will go. I'll be very, very surprised. They might be there for the beginning of the season, but I'll be very, very surprised if they'll be there at the end of August when the transfer window goes. I'll be very, very surprised. Very surprised.
Yeah, I mean, look, to go through it very quickly, I think Aaron Ramsdale will either go to Newcastle or he will probably stay at Arsenal and be the backup, because I don't see who else is going to be paying 35 million for him. I don't think Wolves or Bournemouth or anyone like that will put that money down on Ramsdale, but I might be wrong. And I'm not so sure that any foreign club will come in for him at that price. So I wouldn't be against him staying at Arsenal. I know that people say it's stupid because there's this relationship breakdown. I'm not so sure there's a relationship breakdown, if I'm honest. I think that Aaron Ramsdale wants to play first team football, but at the same time, Arsenal ain't going to go, yeah, do you know what? You need first team football. We'll sell you for 11 million. Like, we need to be getting the right money for this guy. Like, this is a top talented goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? So we can't say we bought you for 25 million 2 years ago. You've had 2 title challenge seasons with us. You were bought a relegated side. You come to Arsenal, go for 15 million now. Like, we've got to be better with these selling, man. We've got to be getting good money for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. But the problem is we got at the moment, like, you know, and I say Jordan Pickford, right? Everton goalkeeper, England #1, like, you know. If he was to go, where would he go? Like, that's why he's still at Everton at this moment in time. So,
yeah,
if you're going to spend, if you're Newcastle, for instance, and you're going to spend 40, 50 million, would you go for Pickford? Yeah, I don't know. So this is the problem, like, you know. And I look at all the teams at the moment. The only teams that I can see that realistically for a Pickford or a Ramsdale to go to is 2 teams. You've mentioned one of them in Newcastle, and the other one's Chelsea.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They're the only 2 that are going to be there. So there's not many opportunities for those goalkeepers. I think with Smith Rowe, it's going to be different. I think there's definitely interest from Ipswich. I think Everton would take him. Wolves would take him. I'm not saying they can all afford him, but I'm just saying, like, I think West Ham, Fulham would be another one that would go there. Like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle could come in for him if they could afford him and all that. Like, you know, but so there's plenty of options for him. Crystal Palace as well. Eddie, I'm going to say Ipswich as well. I think Wolves would be a good fit for him. Even a Brighton. Southampton coming up, like, you know, Nottingham Forest, if they get rid of their forward to Newcastle, that opens up a door there. Dare I say it, West Ham? I think West Ham could be. And as we see, Crystal Palace as well. And I also think Brentford. So I think there's plenty of options. I think all of those teams I've mentioned would want a forward. Now, I don't know if they would want Eddie and that sort of money, but I'm pretty sure they'll all be in the market for a forward. And when you look at it, when you're selling it, when teams like Newcastle are selling a player that's hardly played that many games for 30, 40 million, these guys have got to be worth that money as well, like, you know. So yeah, it'd be very, very interesting. So Nelson, I think, has got plenty of options as well, like, you know what I mean. I think, like, whatever happens at Wolves, he's got that there. But I think, like, Palace and West Ham, it's good shouts for him, like, you know. So they're all going to have options, Dan. They're all going to have an opportunity to go somewhere. It's just the price is right. But no one's, you know, Ipswich, for instance. Just have a look at Ipswich. They've just made, you know, they've signed Hutchinson. Obviously, they had him on loan last year, but they've come up to the Premier League. Nothing. Quiet. You know what I mean? Like, Liverpool, new manager. No one. Manchester United, the same. You know, Manchester United are desperate. You know, like, it must be easier for them to sign players than us because they were so poor yesterday. That must make some improvements. Nothing. Tottenham have signed Archie Gray. You know what I mean? Like, from the Championship. Nothing major from them at this moment in time. As the same for us. Chelsea have signed Dewsbury, aren't they? But Manchester City haven't brought in anybody at this stage. So everywhere so quiet, then, and it ain't just the Euros, because we've had Euros and World Cups before.
It's weird. Dare I say it? Is it the PSR and FFP?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know. You know what I mean, like, especially, it must have some sort of impact when you think about it, because if you do overs that, you're losing 6 points, and 6 points, and it's just say that for Arsenal. If you was to say to Arsenal, we're taking 6 points off you, you ain't going to win the league next season.
No.
You take 6 points off Spurs. You know what I mean? Like, they could get relegated. You know what I mean? So you know, it's 6 points is a lot in the context of it. So it's really, really difficult at this moment in time. I don't really know what's going to is one signing going to spark it all off. I don't know. So
maybe. I mean, Man United are the ones at the moment looking at the lit. Whether they're going to get him or cross the line or not. Obviously, Xavi Simons looks like he's going to go Bayern Munich. So there's little bits and pieces happening, but it's not gone bang yet. It hasn't. And I do think it because of the Euros and the Copa America and everyone's over there. So it's hard to get these players in. It's hard to get them agreed. It's hard to get them in then doing their tests and medicals and all that. Of course it is. It's difficult.
But it is hard. But then I'm reading here that Paulinho has agreed to go to Bayern Munich and he's out in the Euros. So
yeah,
I don't know then. You know what I mean? It's so what's all that about then? So
that's a good signing, by the way. Bayern Munich made some good signings already.
Yeah,
Xavi Simons,
very good
Paulinho, and Elise.
player,
I mean, there's some good players there coming in. So it's going to be interesting.
You have to say, Bayern Munich have started pretty quickly, haven't they? Like they're a team that's got a new manager, signed a few players quickly. I think that is to appease the fans as well a little bit. But at this moment in time, Arsenal have not been linked with anybody that I can turn around and go, right, that's going to nail us the title.
Interesting. Listen, we're going to leave it there. Been a pleasure as always. Big up to all of you for your interaction and your comments. Make sure you do us a favor and hit the like button and the subscribe button. And we will be back tomorrow. Lee, I'll leave you to see everyone out. Yeah,
listen, Tammy's made a very good point there. There's a lot of rumours about Arsenal increasing their capacity to 75,000. So we'll talk about that tomorrow because there's a lot about season tickets and things like that. So we'll go into that a little bit tomorrow because it doesn't look like we'll be signing anybody by then. But that's a interesting fact that if that is the case, probably should have made that a 75,000 stadium in the first place, in my opinion. But
I agree with you.
There we go. But if that is the case, we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow and the implications of that.
Yeah,
but and say that, have a nice night off tonight. It's my mum's birthday today, so I better wish my mum
birthday.
So my mum, we're going out for a meal, a little bit of Chinese tonight. So if you're going out, have a nice time. If you're staying in, well, there's only Love Island on there, isn't there? Because it's the Euros.
Enjoy it. Euros is out, so enjoy Love Island.
Enjoy Love Island.
We'll see you next time.